And welcome to another edition of the Jet Set Insider. My name is Robert Victor Anthony Murgatroyd the First, and this lovely lady to my right is Kimberly Murgatroyd, my gorgeous wife, who is fresh off the heels of a brie and baguette tour of the continent we call
The continent?
Europe, the city we call Paris.
Yes.
And by the way, do they like that it's still called Gay Paris? I don't think so.
Well, there were parts of it that were definitely gay Paris. What did you do to my notes?
For those of you who don't know who we are, we run a little website called Jet Set Life TV, where we cover everything from really inspirational, cool travel right on up to Kim blocking my view. What are you doing? We are now taking our passions to the world of podcasting, and in these podcasts, we share fun stories, travel tips.
Rob's embarrassing moments.
And we just kind of take you inside of our crazy life. Now, Kim,
Yes.
Who is today's show sponsored by?
I think it's Paris.
The Parisian Tourist Board?
The Parisian Board of Tourists.
I didn't get a check. I didn't get a check.
It's in the mail.
Today's show
Airmail.
is sponsored by Jet Set Body. Yes, kids, would you like to have a body? Would you like to have a body?
Wow, have you been practicing this?
Would you like to have a body?
They have a body.
That when you walk down the beach, people go, damn.
What is this thing on your ass?
Damn. By the way, men,
Sorry.
does your wife like groom you like a monkey? My wife just plucks and pulls and all these kinds of
Somebody
things.
has to do it. But I give you a great body through Jet Set Body.
You're getting older. Things are starting to hang. They're starting to sag. You don't like the way you look in the mirror. Let me tell you something. I got an answer for you. And here's what we're going to do. All you got to do is go to jetsetbodyvip.com. VIP, like the very important person that you are. Jetsetbodyvip.com. Just enter your email, and guess what? We're going to give you a little gift when you do that. A little gift, a little something for you. No charge. But if you're ready and you're like, you know what? I want to do this.
I want those abs.
Go to getjetsetbody.com. That's it.
Awesome.
That's it. Commercial over. Kim,
Yes.
I understand that you were in Paris.
I was in Paris, and this week I am going to take you on some of my little Parisian adventure.
You're not taking me anywhere. You left me home.
I did
Let's
leave
be
you
honest.
home.
What are you taking me?
I did leave
For
you
2
home.
weeks. 2 weeks.
I did, and I
2 weeks alone.
And he had to play Mr. Mom. I left him home with the 14-year-old daughter, and I wasn't sure if one of them was going to be dead when I got back. I didn't know which one though.
Oh man, that shit ain't easy. There ain't gonna be no Jet Set Body teenager. I tell you that. I mean Jet Set Life teenager.
No. All right. So this week's show, in our bucket list segment, I'm going to share a few of my French musts that you have to put on your bucket list. In our Off the Beaten Track segment, I am going to share one of my favorite videos from France, and you guys are going to love it. At least I hope you do. In our Oui or Non segment, we are going to dish on the truth about French people. There's lots of controversy with the French. And in our Hoodwinked segment, I'm completely uncovering an online booking scandal. So get ready for that one. And that one pissed me off. And lastly, in Kim's Cool Apps, I'm going to share my new favorite app that you can use while you are traveling.
All right, so let's talk about a bucket list, right?
Yes.
So here's the strange part. If I'm not mistaken, this whole term of bucket list came out of the Morgan Freeman movie
Absolutely.
Bucket, right?
Yep.
Morgan Freeman and the guy who sits at the basketball games. What's his name?
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson, right? Came out of...
Great movie.
Fantastic.
And by the way, they shot parts of that. Chevre d'Or in Ez. We were there.
I know. You took the baguette right out of my mouth.
Yes.
That's just what I was about to say, which is kind of ironic that the bucket list sort of was born quasi, if you will. I think it's a French word. Is it a French word, quasi? Probably. Or it's Latin. One or the other. Or it's Greek.
Because everything comes
because
from Greek.
the language began with Greek. It came out of Paris. So we don't need to talk about what a bucket
It came
list
out of
is.
Paris.
I don't know what to say. I had coffee. Everybody's got this bucket list, but the road to someday leads to the town of nowhere.
That was good. Did you just pull that out of your bucket
I
hat?
pulled that.
Did you pull it out of your bucket?
Pulled that right out of my bucket hat. Someday I'm gonna add this to my list. Well, guess what, kids? Someday is now. Mm-hmm. Someday is here. Make a plan 6 months, 12 months out to start checking things off of your bucket list.
And they don't all have to be travel. And this is kind of the premise too of Jet Set Life is, our original tagline is excuses are over, it's time to live. Mm-hmm. And it's about living for today and doing the things that you want to do today. So one day while I was in Paris, I got a really sweet text from my husband telling me that he was proud of me for making this trip with my mom happen. So for those of you that don't know the backstory, I'll give you a really quick one. My mom, when I was probably about 10, went to France with my grandmother and her mother, and they had an amazing trip. And from that time, I've always wanted to do the same trip with my mother, like starting a new family, ritual. And I just really, really wanted to do it. And so last year, my family and my dad and my brother and everybody, we got together and we gave my mom this trip for Christmas. And we fulfilled it 2 weeks in Paris, got an apartment. And but the text you sent me was that you were really proud of me for doing it now.
I am proud of you and pissed off that you left me here.
But so your bucket list.
All right, yeah. So the bucket list. So start checking things off your bucket list. Set some, and she's right. If it's travel, great. If it's not travel, that's fine too. But start. So one of the things that was on Kim's bucket list was to go see this. I guess, Kim, you can explain it, but I guess it's an island called
Mont Saint Michel.
Mont Saint Michel. Yeah. Tell them what Mont Saint Michel is and tell them why you wanted to go.
All right. When I was in the 8th grade, I did a French project or a project for my French class on Mont Saint Michel. Mont Saint Michel is a monastery that is really, really unique. It was built on this piece of land that when the low tide goes out or when the tide goes out, it's all land in quicksand around the actual monastery. But then when the tide comes in, it becomes an island. Later used for different things where they actually would torture people, not the monks, but the military or whatever would torture people in Mont Saint Michel and then throw their bodies in the quicksand, which is kind of crazy.
Was it built near the quicksand to sort of protect the castle?
Well, there wasn't a castle. It was a monastery. So it's a first line of defense for the country, for that province of France. It's right on the line of Brittany and Normandy. But I always wanted to do it. I always wanted to see it. And my mother has been there 16 times. And she was joking with me on the trip. And she said, the last time I came here, I said, I've been here so many times, I could not come here again and I'd be okay. And then, of course, the one thing I really wanted to do on the trip was go to Mont Saint Michel. So she humored me and she did it, and she was amazing about it. But it's a really, if you haven't seen it, look it up. Or what, let me put a picture in right here.
Okay. What I was going to say right before that is, if you don't follow us, we finally caught on to the year 2012 and got an Instagram. So, So if you don't follow us, just go to Instagram. I mean, if you haven't followed us already, just go to Instagram and type in, I think Jet Set Life is one word, and you can see the picture of, you can see all our crazy pictures, but you could certainly see the one of Kim in the castle. The castle is sick. It's ridiculous. But you also did like a French chateau too, right? That was on your bucket list?
Yeah, on my bucket list. I've always wanted to stay, well, I had two things. I wanted to tour the castles of the Loire Valley. By castle, I'm calling them castles. They're chateaus. And a chateau, I learned, is really just a summer house. Well, I have to tell you, some of these summer houses are like 10 city blocks in the States. They are massive. Chambord Castle, or I'm calling it a castle. Chenonceau.
Is that where Chambord comes from?
Absolutely.
They make it in that castle?
Yeah, let me put in a picture real here of Chambord. All right. So that, I mean, this thing is massive. And by the way, all of these chateaus have a moat that surround them, which is very like Beauty and the Beast, but it really does occur. So we did that. So I wanted to do that and tour the castles of the Loire Valley. And then I wanted to stay in one of them overnight. And I booked a little chateau for my mom and I to stay in. And it was absolutely fantastic. And this one over here, so jealous, right? When I sent you the link for it, because it was kind of a last minute thing.
Yeah, I mean, this, you have to see the. Do you want to give them a little plug? Do you know the name of the castle?
I can't say it well, but I'll. Here's what I'll do. I'll put a picture in here with the name on it.
Yeah, it's.
I don't want to butcher it.
It's a very, very strange
Oh, and
name.
you know what else? It was the set for the movie with Hugh Grant, Impromptu. So it was his chateau that they used during the movie Impromptu. And so let me toss in the picture right here. So yeah, that's where we slept, me and my mom, one night. So that was on my bucket list. So I checked that off my bucket list.
Well, you know, one of the things that you wrote a blog about this, and I can't remember the name of the blog, but one of the things is, I think it was the blog that you wrote about my DJing thing, and one of the things that you said is how one thing leads into another. And kind of in our second segment here, we're going to talk about off the beaten path. And so as a result of checking that bucket list off, it led to this experience of eating oysters in Cancale. Tell me about that.
Okay, so when we were in Mont Saint Michel, we decided to spend the night somewhere nearby. There's a little town called Saint Malo, and I'm taking this one back here. It is absolutely beautiful, and it's super hip. So we stayed in it, and it's a medieval village that like pirates used to live there and stuff. When we left there the next morning, on the same peninsula, I'll say, that Saint Malo is the oyster capital of the world, Cancale. And now you can go everywhere and get these oysters, but in Cancale, to eat them right out of the ocean, I mean, this is it. This is where some of the most amazing oysters in the world are. I just had to do it. But the problem was it was like, early. It was like 11 a.m. And I felt a little weird while people were enjoying their baguette and, bread and croissant and coffee to be like, hey, can I have a dozen oysters? So we were walking along the beach, and we came to this little area that was set up with these makeshift, like, stalls, I guess. And they had all oysters in them. So I looked and I was like, well, that would be amazing if I lived here and knew how to shuck an oyster. But I don't. And then I saw them taking the oysters, shucking them, putting them on plates, and giving people a lemon. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, hold on a second. So I went over, and I couldn't believe it. It was like €6 for their prime oysters that came right out of the ocean, right behind them. And you basically take the oysters, you go sit near the sea, you eat the oysters, you throw the shells onto the beach, and the whole beach is all shells. It's really pretty. And you bring back your tray. So here's a little video.
Yeah, this is really, really cool.
From my experience there.
And by the way, Kim put together this video with some really cool music. So check it out.
Okay, so you squeeze a little lemon, oyster, ta-da! How do you say that in French?
Voila.
Voila!
Fun, right? Makes you want to go, doesn't it?
And it was a magic moment for me and my mom, I have to say.
Well, that's what it's about. So
yeah.
what's amazing is when you're playing in the space of bucket list, magic happens. And the energy shifts and things align to not only help you fulfill your dream of your bucket list, but in creating magic moments as well. So really, really cool.
So I highly recommend Oysters in Cancale for anybody that's interested.
So before we talk about our we segment.
We or no.
We or no segment. Kimberly, you wrote a cookbook. And you know what your cookbook's called?
Too bad there weren't oysters in it. Then I could.
You wrote a cookbook. Now, the French
Is this like a middle commercial?
The French, they eat. The French, they eat cream.
Yeah.
They eat wine.
But they stay skinny.
They also smoke a lot of cigarettes. Let's be honest with you. Okay.
True story.
But for those people that are like, you know what? I'm trying to be healthy, trying to eat good food. What do I eat? I don't want to eat the grilled chicken. I don't want to eat the broccoli. Guess what? Kim spent 2 years making it easy for you. How about peanut butter French toast? How about Butterfingers? Okay? All on the Jet Set Body Plan. If you want to check it out, go to kimscookbook.com.
Do you know how many recipes are in my cookbook?
A lot.
Over 150.
Hey, like that.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on 1 second.
Hey, like that. I think she's going to get her cookbook right now.
Realize, people, it is a digital book, but I did have one made for myself, so this is what it looks like.
Oh yeah, the name is Holy Shit. How you like that?
Over how many? 150 kids.
Because every time I eat one of them, I'm like, holy shit. That is.
So there you go.
That is.
And I have
good.
to tell you, a lot of the recipes are inspired from us traveling around the world. Like I have a ceviche recipe in there from God, where were we that we had that amazing ceviche? Miami. Oh, well, it was South Beach at the Delano. So different places that we go to, I'll find a recipe or I'll find a food and then I'll go home and I'll work and I'll try to recreate the same recipe. So
it's pretty amazing
but
stuff.
in a healthy way. So.
All right, so in our We Know segment,
no.
We're going to talk about the French. All right,
Yes.
so you want to go first on this because I got a lot to say about it, or do you want to go?
I would just say this: the stereotype of the French is what?
You want me to say what I think it is, or
What's the stereotype? Not what you believe. Not
no, I believe the stereotype, so it's easy. It's easy. They're mean.
No. You can offend an entire culture.
No, but that is the stereotype. The stereotype is that they're arrogant and snotty and don't like Americans and, just all of that kind of stuff.
Okay. And you want to tell them what data you have to back up your feelings?
What data?
Yeah.
What do you mean, what data? Other than everybody going, the French hate the Americans when they come home?
Your own personal beliefs, your interactions.
Well, I've like anything else, I've had mixed interactions. I have to say, though, I've never been... I love France and I go back all the time. Definitely the biggest challenge that I have in this arena is Paris. When I go outside of Paris, like, to the beach areas like Saint-Tropez, stuff like that, it's really not so much of an issue. Actually,
the crepe story happened in Nice.
In Nice, yeah.
Yeah.
But that wasn't an arrogance thing. That was a whole other level. He wasn't arrogant. He was just slightly. I mean, a little bit. But there's always
Go ahead,
that little.
Tell him the crepe story.
Okay, so we're in Nice, and I said to the concierge or the guy at the front desk.
The concierge at a 5-star place that speaks English.
Yeah,
Let's just start with that.
I said, hey, can you tell me where to get some crepes? And he's looking at me. Like I said, can you tell me where to, get my ass rubbed? And he goes,
he could have probably told you that right off the bat, though.
He goes, sorry. And I was like, crepes, crepes.
Now he's British?
Well, sorry.
There you go.
So he's like, what do you mean? I said, crepes. Can you tell me where I can get a crepe? And he goes, crepe. Ah, crepe. And I was like, okay, fucking Inspector Clouseau. Great, clap. So, what does that mean? Does that mean that I talk fast? He has no idea. So, that notwithstanding, I have read now, I think, 2 different books on French culture and why the French are the way they are.
So you're versed in this.
I'm versed in this, and this is a very complex...
What are the books you read?
...situation. There are 2 that your mom gave me, and I don't remember the names. I'm not sure if I have them here. Yeah, there you go. That's one of them. 60 Million Frenchmen Can't Be Wrong. That's the name of it. And it's basically a book. It says on the back cover, what makes the French so different.
Why we love France, but not the French.
Okay, so it's not just us. It's not just
This is a
people.
stereotype.
I mean, this is a stereotype,
Yeah.
but they've written books about
And like
it.
most stereotypes, there's some truth somewhere.
There's an element
There's an
of
element
truth.
of
to it.
truth.
Well, one of the things that the author of this book talks about is, for example, the French will have their dogs poop on the street and indignantly, I think that's a word, will not pick up the poop. And when pressed to ask why they won't do it, the answer is because the government's supposed to take care of that. We pay 50% in taxes or whatever the astronomical number is.
Can I make a note on that?
Yeah.
Okay, 2 things I want to say. Number 1, my mother and I were marked all around. I spent 2 weeks walking around the city, okay, and the countryside. This country is so well manicured. Every flower is perfect. Every bit of grass is perfect. There is no litter, no trash, nothing. The only thing I see is graffiti, and half the time it actually looks artistic. So I'm just going to say that. That's number 1. Number 2, I read a book while I was there on these little one-page random facts about France, and the fine for not picking up your dog's poop is 465 euros. So it's like, what, $650 if you do not pick your poop up.
They've made it so high because they have such an issue with it, which is strange. So
well, they shit on the sidewalk. That's the problem. It's not like they're in a park. They're on the sidewalk in front of a cafe.
So if you
landmines,
if you unwrap this onion a little deeper, and you go into, imagine, as an American, one of the things this author said, which it's just reminding me when you said this, is if you go into an American party and I meet somebody else, one of the most common questions that I will have is, what do you do for a living? It's a conversation starter. You know, what do you do? What do you do? That kind of thing. It's absolutely taboo to do that in France because it's sort of a none of your fucking business. And what does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
They don't like to talk about money.
They don't want to talk about money. So the next thing an American will do is they'll say, oh, you just bought a new house? Really? How much was it? Or you have a new car? Oh, what'd you pay for the car? It's not an unusual thing for an American to discuss price. It's completely not acceptable in the French culture. So now imagine you have an American that, and this guy's an American that lived in Paris. Now you have an American that goes to a dinner party and he says to somebody else, what do you do for a living? And the guy wants to talk about art or food or fashion
or culture or life
and or you, but doesn't want to talk about money, doesn't want to talk about career.
So you basically just offended him.
So you offend them. So now their view of the Americans are, it's all about money, 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 and what do you do,
Which
and
is
success.
not super far off from the truth.
Right. So we have these massive cultural differences. You know, Tony Robbins once said, people that are like each other tend to like each other.
Yeah.
But conversely, people that are not like each other tend to not like each other.
Now, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
To play devil's advocate over here?
Yeah.
One thing I learned while I was in Paris was if you, on the rude thing, right? So people think you're rude.
Mm-hmm.
We think French are rude. They think Americans are rude. If you're in France and you want to approach somebody to ask a question, where is the train station? What's the bathroom? Whatever. If you don't say bonjour, if you don't say hello, good day, good evening, something first, they find it incredibly rude and will be rude to you.
There's a protocol.
But I have to tell you,
it's insulting.
it is rude.
It is rude.
To just walk over and go, where's the train station?
Right.
As opposed to, hey, where's the train station? So who's right? Are we the rude ones or are they the rude ones?
Well, in that instance, if you think about it, if you walk over to somebody and you said to them, good morning, can you tell me where the train station is?
They'll be much more likely to help you.
Versus walking over to somebody and saying, can you tell me where the train station is? There's a different level of warmth and etiquette and culture. It is just different. All right. So to wrap this up in a bow, I'll leave you with this in this segment. I asked a friend of mine once. I said, who was French? We were in Italy. He's a doctor, and his friend who joined us for dinner is from France. And he was a very, very cool French guy, and he was very, very willing to be able to talk and laugh about his own culture. And I said to him, I said, what is the deal with the French and the Americans? What is it? He said, well, you turned our croissant into a croissantwich. so I laughed.
It's true.
And then my friend said, look, even the French don't like the French. I tell you, we've discussed this point many, many times with many, many different people. I'd love to know what you guys think.
Yeah.
So shoot us an email to heyjetset@gmail.com. Tell us what your thoughts are on the French. If you've ever had interactions with them, what did you like about them? What did you not like about them? What did you think? What did you think about the differences? I'm curious to know what you weigh in on, and we'll talk about it in the next podcast. All right. So tell them about being hoodwinked. You got suckered?
Well, I mean, I was going to do it anyway, but yeah, I'm onto your scam, Expedia.
Expedia, wow.
I'm onto your scam.
You're calling them out?
Well, yeah. Let me tell you why. Are you ready?
We need like a little bomb that goes off when we just lose a sponsor. A potential sponsor boom.
They're not sponsoring us anyway. It doesn't matter. All right. So I used Expedia to find the chateau that I wanted in France because I was there and I was already in France. I didn't really have a whole lot of time to do a lot of research on it. And I went on Expedia. I chose a star rating and all of that. Came up with a place. And you know what it said next to it? Only one room left.
Wow. So when you got there,
scarcity.
When you got there, it was probably packed, right? There was probably like a line.
So they created all the scarcity, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I better take this. And I better take it now.
Because there's
one room left.
One room left.
Yeah. Okay. I happened to tour all 15 or 18 rooms of this chateau.
Did you meet all the 18 people in all the rooms?
We were the only ones in the chateau. Want to know why?
Maybe they canceled.
Because it's October in the Loire Valley. It is not high season. It is not anything. This is a castle, folks, with a side house, with a back house. They have many, many rooms, and
I think you made that up. I think there's no such thing as a side house.
I did make it up.
There
was multiple.
There's a back house, a side house, and a lateral house.
And a lateral house.
There's
houses
There's an
everywhere.
oblique house too.
There were plenty of rooms, and you know what?
How about a front house?
And a front house. One room left, and I can't tell you how many times I've gone on different airline booking agents to book, and it'll go, 2 seats left. That's funny because I happen to need 2 tickets.
All right, so I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Next time you go on Expedia and you really want to go to this place, right? And you look and you're like, I want to go, and you book it a year in advance, and it pops up and it says 1 room left.
Yeah.
Are you so absolutely sure
Yes.
that it's a scam?
Absolutely.
That you would be willing to say, I'm going to come back in a month.
Yes.
And there'll be a room.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, and you want to know why? You want to know why?
Because you don't want to get hoodwinked.
No, because then I checked it. Then I went, let me see what a flight does. And so I went on, and it was like, 3 seats left. And I was like, oh my God. And so then I went and I took that flight number, I put it into Delta, and I looked up, and the whole frickin' plane's available. So hoodwinked. On to you.
All right, before we go to our last segment, I'd like somebody to tell me what exactly a hoodwink is. And
I think it was a Disney movie.
And why is it called hoodwinking? In our Kim's Cool App segment, we're going to share her new favorite travel app.
Yes.
Tell them about it.
It is called, okay, well, first of all, I love Wiki, right? Like, who doesn't love Wikipedia? Mm-hmm. You can learn anything in the world on the Wiki.
And by the way, it's becoming more accepted, where people used to go, well, it's edited, but now everybody just...
Well, now you can't edit it. Now it's like...
Oh, you can't?
I mean, I think you could probably send in an edit, but, you can't instantly edit it.
It's a bigger deal.
Yeah, they fact check it, before they do it. So... Love Wiki. We wiki all the time.
Wiki, 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 wiki.
That was very DJ.
Shut
of
up.
you.
Wiki, 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 wiki. Shut up.
Okay.
Wiki.
Okay.
Wiki, wiki, wiki.
Okay.
Wiki.
So wouldn't it be cool if you're, let's say, in Paris? Mm-hmm. We were walking around in Paris, and my mom would go, "What's the statue? What's that?" And random things that she hadn't seen before.
Can you say that in French?
What?
Can you say what's that?
No.
You don't even know how to?
No.
Qu'est-ce que c'est? Say it. Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Okay.
Is that even close?
Probably not. So
I got to ask you, Mom. Mom, did I get it right?
you're going to screw something up in that. There's no way she's going to say yes. So my mom, she would say, what's a statue or what's that? Wouldn't it be cool if you could just hit an app and the statue, because you're near it, it will detect your location and it will pop up and the wiki of that statue would show up. Wouldn't that be cool?
I think it'd be amazing.
Wiki Hood. Hello, Wiki Hood. You are in your neighborhood.
No, you're in your Wiki Hood.
Wiki Hood. So you're somewhere. You go on Wiki Hood, free app, by the way, and you say, use my current location. It tells you everything around you. It tells you subway stations. It tells you hotels.
To give you an example, before we went on,
everything.
we just looked at it over here. So we live across the street from a Ralph Lauren store. So it comes up. And it has.
Oh well, then that's another part of it. If you click the one thing, it'll lead you to everything that talks about
is associated to that thing.
Yeah, so
it comes up with the mall, which is where the Ralph Lauren store is, and then when you click that, it gives you the history of Ralph Lauren.
Yeah.
So it has the next layer.
And it also gave like other celebrities or people that have that word, that phrase, or that place in their wiki. So you can it's really, really neat. I have to tell you, I'm impressed with Wiki Hood.
All right. So that's all we have time for today. But I want to ask you something. Come here. Come here.
By the way, I have a little special something after he does his plug here for begging. So don't go anywhere.
Come here. I just want to ask you something. How much does it cost you to listen to this podcast? What do we charge you? Oh, nothing. Free. Well, you want to keep this coming, right? You want to make sure that you have this non-stop entertainment. In fact, watch this. We do the show in Paris. Voulez coucher avec moi?
You're done. You're done. All right. He wants you to go to iTunes and comment. Give me a 5-star. I know for him it'll probably be 3 stars, but if you could just give me 5 stars.
Would it kill you to go over to iTunes? Would it hurt you for 3 seconds and go, I get more entertainment value from these people. These guys are unbelievable. Keep it coming. Help us out.
Help us out.
Go over to iTunes.
All right. Hold on.
Yep.
Please.
Yep.
I have a little Parisian present.
Oh.
Yeah. A little video I took. And you should add this to your bucket list.
This is really, really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
You should tell them what this is, though.
Every night in Paris, the Eiffel Tower on the hour after it goes dark. I mean, I wish I could give you exact time, but I can't. So let's say like 10 o'clock.
Dark 30.
Dark 30. The Eiffel Tower is lit up all night, but on the hour, it twinkles for 5 minutes. And if you're close to it, it's beautiful. But if you're far away from it, it looks like diamonds. It literally looks like twinkling diamonds all over the Eiffel Tower.
It's pretty spectacular.
I saw it from the top of the Pompidou Center. Me and my mom both started crying like 2 little babies. And then I saw it up close and took a video. And so that's what this is.
Let's go check it out.
Enjoy.
We'll leave you with the little French music, the Eiffel Tower, and the blinking lights. Until next week.
Bye-bye.